As we grow older, the world teaches us to forget the magic of childhood. Yet the greatest adventures belong to those who never let go of wonder. Meet the Thompson family, a modern family living in the heart of the city, where technology is a part of their everyday lives. At the heart of the family are Tim and Polly Thompson, two loving parents who have always dreamed of a different life beyond their daily routine. Polly is a caring mother and talented inventor who makes a difficult decision to quit her job over privacy concerns involving a smart fridge project. While the sudden change creates uncertainty, Tim, a supportive husband and father, sees it as the perfect opportunity to finally pursue their long-held dream. He encourages the family to leave the city behind and begin a simpler life in the countryside. But not everyone is happy about the move. Beth, the eldest, struggles to leave behind her technology-filled lifestyle, while Joe, the middle child, sees the countryside as a new adventure. Meanwhile, young Fran's curiosity and vivid imagination often lead her to unexpected discoveries. Tim and Polly are determined to make a fresh start. They set off with their family and purchase a property in the countryside. The farmers agree to give the Thompsons the entire summer to repair and settle into the place before deciding whether to proceed with the £20,000 purchase. On their way to their new home, Fran encounters a fairy named Silky in the nearby woods. When Silky accidentally drops her purse, Fran returns it to her, and the fairy is delighted by her kindness. When the family finally arrives at their new property, reality doesn't quite live up to their expectations. Instead of the charming countryside home they had imagined, they are greeted by a rundown old barn with no electricity, no running water, and a long list of repairs waiting to be done. As the Thompson family tries to adjust to their rundown new home, they're greeted by the friendly couple, Farmer Brian and his wife Bella, the former owners of the barn. Despite the rough condition of the place, their warm welcome and kindness help the family feel a little more settled and hopeful about their new life in the countryside. That night, something remarkable happens for Fran. After years of silence, she finally speaks again, bringing joy and relief to Tim and Polly. Meanwhile, Silky and her friend, the angry pixie, quietly visit Fran in secret. Grateful for her earlier kindness, they leave behind a special invitation. The letter invites her to join them for tea and a guide to the mysterious magic Faraway Tree hidden deep within the nearby forest. When morning comes, Fran reads the invitation and, with a quiet sense of wonder and growing anticipation, prepares a small gift before heading into the forest. Deep inside the woods, she follows the instructions and repeats the word. She believes in magic 3 times. As soon as the final words leave her lips, everything around her begins to change. The ordinary world fades, replaced by something far more magical. Then she sees the magical tree and notices an enchanted lift waiting among the trees, as if it had been there for her all along. Without hesitation, she sits onto it, and it carries her upward toward the top of the mysterious faraway tree. Filled with curiosity and excitement, Fran climbs the tree. There, she reunites with Silky, named for her long, silky golden hair, and is welcomed by the other magical creatures who live within the faraway tree. Moonface, who confidently presents himself as the wisest and in charge in the woodland. She also encounters the angry pixie, who is always quick to irritation, along with the eccentric saucepan man and the famously forgetful Mr. What's-his-name, once knowledgeable but now unable even to recall his own name. She is also introduced to Dame Washalot, who seems to know every land that appears at the top of the tree and spends her time endlessly washing clothes. Together, each of these unusual characters adds charm, humor, and chaos to the enchanted world above the clouds. As Fran explores this enchanting world, she learns the tree's greatest secret. At the very top, a different magical land arrives each day, bringing new adventures and surprises. On that day, the tree is connected to the Land of Goodies, a whimsical place overflowing with giant chocolates, cakes, and every imaginable sweet treat. It is a dreamlike world where everything feels joyful and tempting, but there is one important rule that must be followed. Never be greedy. Unable to resist, Fran eagerly joins the feast and enjoys all the wonders of the sugary paradise. But her excitement soon turns to panic when the Land of Goodies begins to turn. Realizing they must leave immediately, Fran races back toward the faraway tree. Meanwhile, Tim and Polly are searching for Fran. They look throughout the woods and eventually return home, hoping she might have come back, but there is still no sign of her. Then, just when everyone is beginning to worry, Fran finally returns, excited to tell her family about the magical adventure she experienced in the Enchanted Woods. However, nobody seems to believe her story. Her parents simply smile and tell her that if she ever goes back into the woods again, she must take her siblings with her. As the days pass, the family continues adjusting to life in the countryside. Beth secretly writes a letter to her grandmother, begging her to rescue them from what she calls her family's madness. In the letter, she complains that they have become poor and are now living in the countryside. She claims her father is making a fool of himself as usual, her mother has been completely swept up in his obsession with growing tomatoes, Joe is suffering from withdrawal from city life, and Fran seems lost in her own world. As for Beth, she tries to make friends with the local children, but finds them far from exciting. As the days went by, eager to return to the Enchanted Woods, Fran invited Beth and Joe to join her. Although Beth is frustrated and bored with life in the countryside, she reluctantly agrees. There, they meet the magical residents and discover that the land of the day is the land of birthdays. But before the adventure begins, Dame Washalot accidentally splashes Beth with soapy water while doing her laundry, forcing her to stay behind until her clothes dry. Meanwhile, Fran and Joe enter the magical land and make foolish wishes. Unhappy with the sound of her own voice, Fran wishes to have a different one, while Joe wishes to become a character from his favorite video game. It doesn't take long for them to realize their mistake. When they ask the elves to undo the wishes, they are told that birthday wishes cannot be reversed until the end of time. Back at the Enchanted Tree, Dame Washalot explains the different magical lands to Beth. When Beth learns that the current land is the land of birthdays, she realizes her siblings could get into trouble if they make careless wishes. Determined to help, she follows them into the magical realm, delivering a bundle of freshly washed clothes that Dame Washalot has prepared for the elves. The moment she arrives, Beth makes a wish of her own, hoping that her father's tomato business will fail. Soon after, she discovers that Fran and Joe have already created trouble by making careless wishes. As the children search for a way to undo their wishes, the elves ask Beth to deliver their wash laundry. Beth comes up with a clever idea and refuses to hand over the clean clothes until the elves help them solve their problem. The elves eventually suggest seeking help from Mr. Boom Boom, who lives in the basement. They warn the children that he might know how to fix the problem, but he is known for being far from friendly. When they went down to the basement, they knocked 7 times. Mr. Boom Boom, who liked to call himself the art dealer, loudly asked what they wanted, clearly annoyed at being disturbed. Beth explains that the elves sent them and that he may know how to reverse their wish, but he insists he helps no one but himself. But when Silky pleads with him, he quickly changes his mind and agrees to help. Mr. Boom Boom leads them inside and tells them to ignore the mess, explaining that he wasn't expecting visitors and only works by appointment. He shows them strange artifacts from different magical lands, including a melted snowman from the land of ice and snow, and bottles of spells from the land of spells. He then presents a door he won from the land of back to front that can reverse their wish. Before they can use it, he makes a shocking offer. He will only help them if they give him Silky in exchange for reversing the wish. They refuse the offer at first, but Mr. Boom Boom explains that the deal is for Santa Claus, who would receive Silky in exchange for providing the best fairy for Christmas. To everyone's shock, Silky agrees. Moonface protests, insisting they cannot let her go, but Silky calmly explains that it is not a bad fate. She would be with Santa Claus, helping others and making new friends while still caring for those she leaves behind. Beth, realizing she misjudged her, apologizes sincerely, saying they could have been like sisters. Silky is deeply moved by her words. As the group agrees to the deal, they step through the magical door, and the reversal process begins. Meanwhile, Mr. Boom Boom secretly traps Silky inside a small box, planning to send her not to Santa Claus, but to Dame Snap instead. Beth overhears this plan and immediately warns the others that Silky is in danger. As soon as they exit the door, they confront him. Angered by his betrayal, Moonface chases after Mr. Boom Boom while Beth quickly frees Silky from the box. Mr. Boom Boom pulls out a toffee gun and threatens the group, demanding Silky in exchange, or he will use it against them. Before he can act, Mr. Saucepan puts a pot over his head, blinding him, while Moonface quickly grabs the weapon from his hands. In the middle of the chaos, the group feels the land moving as it begins to turn. Beth realizes Silky is missing from the box and warns the others. Suddenly, Silky reappears from the door in her elf form, smiling as she explains she is happier choosing to be herself rather than remaining a fairy. In a rush, the group escapes from the land of birthdays. Before the children leave the Enchanted Tree, Beth and Silky form a close bond, sharing a moment of understanding and friendship. Fran and her siblings slide down from the tree as they exit. As they got out in the forest, in the distance, they saw their grandma's helicopter as they started to walk towards it. Inside the house, Grandma criticized Polly for being unemployed and doubted the family's tomato sauce business. When the children arrived from the woods, she questioned how they would fund the business and buy equipment. Fran said they would sell their father's tomato sauce, while Polly explained that she would build the machinery herself. Though Grandma remained skeptical and teased Timothy about his Italian heritage, he confidently replied that his Italian side would emerge when the time was right. Grandma expressed her deep disappointment in Polly and criticized the family situation. Tim tried to calm things down, explaining that despite her judgment, they were happy living in the countryside. However, Grandma shifted her attention to Beth, insisting that she was unhappy there and announcing that she would take Beth to the city and enroll her in a good school the following term. Before leaving, Grandma mocked their tomato sauce business idea and thanked Beth for the letter she had written. Her words stunned the family, leaving them in a tense silence as they all looked at Beth. The night comes, and Beth calls her friends to say she misses them, but then the electricity goes out, which makes Beth annoyed at the sudden blackout, so she goes to the basement and sees her dad riding a bicycle just to provide electricity. As she watches him, she feels a deep sense of sadness and guilt. Polly gathers the children and shows them their dream binder, a collection of their dreams from the past. Inside are drawings of Tim wanting to be a rock star, Polly dreaming of building a space station but ending up as an inventor, and a heartfelt sketch of Polly hoping to make her mother proud. There is also a drawing of a tomato farm with a happy family, which inspired their move to the countryside. Polly explains that their move to the countryside was meant to bring the family closer together, and gently tells Beth that they only wanted to rebuild their bond as a family. Over the following days, the family works together to launch their tomato business. 2 weeks before opening, the children receive a letter from Silky about the Land of Dreams, and they plan to go at night. But after a busy day and a family dinner, they fall asleep and forget to visit the Land of Dreams, leaving their friends waiting sadly. On the day of the grand launch, the family's excitement is shattered when they find their tomatoes wilted and ruined. Realizing that her wish may have caused the disaster, Beth asks her family to trust her and leads her siblings into the Enchanted Woods. Determined to fix her mistake, she admits that she once wished for the tomato farm to fail and seeks help from her friends at the Faraway Tree. However, Moonface refuses to help, still disappointed that the children missed the Land of Dreams party. But Silky stands up to him and insists they will help the children. Determined to save the farm, the group searches for another way to reach the Land of Spells, only to learn that it will not appear for several months. Hoping to find another solution, they travel to the Land of Know-All and ask for advice. There, they're told about the nearby Land of Hopping Machines, which could provide a way to reach the Land of Spells much sooner. Using a flying machine, they travel to the Land of Spells and meet a wizard who has the spell they need. However, he refuses to sell it, instead asking for something precious that cannot be bought. Fran comes up with an idea and begins singing her family's special song. Though nervous at first, her siblings soon join in, followed by Silky and the others. Moved by their heartfelt performance, the wizard rewards them with the spell they need. During their flight home, a storm makes it difficult to find their way back. When their plane becomes too tired to continue, Joe is forced to land in a nearby field to let it rest. As they explore, they are caught by Dame Snap and taken to the school prison. Beth prefers detention over class because she believes they can find a way to escape, so the group agrees and eventually gets into trouble one by one. While in the detention room, Moonface becomes upset about children forgetting magic as they grow older. However, Fran disagrees and explains that her father still believes in magic and that the woods remain filled with fairies, pixies, joy, and wonder. Silky asks their father's name, and Joe replies that it is Tim Thompson. They recognize the name, and Moonface becomes emotional at the fact that the kid he cherished came back briefly before regaining his focus and forming a plan. Using a strange potato and a bit of magic, he creates a small explosion to help them escape. They all rush back to the plane, but Dame Snap spots them and screams, causing the plane to suddenly wake and move. Her second scream shakes the plane near the edge of the land, but it manages to lift off just in time, carrying them safely back toward the farm. During the grand opening of Timothy's pasta sauce, the villagers arrive as Timothy and Polly prepare to announce the cancellation because of the damaged tomatoes. However, the children arrive just in time and use the spell bomb in the greenhouse, bringing the tomatoes back to life and leaving everyone amazed. Timothy and Polly are thankful as their business is saved. Hours later, the celebration continues as villagers gather to taste Timothy and Polly's authentic Italian pasta sauce. The children proudly sell jars of sauce, happy with how their farm has grown. When a businessman asks what makes the sauce special, Timothy surprises everyone by speaking Italian without realizing it. From afar, Silky and the others watch the celebration happily, while Beth reminds her friends to put away their phones and enjoy the moment. Later, Timothy visits the woods, where Moonface briefly appears and welcomes him home before disappearing. A forgotten memory of magic returns to Timothy, and he rejoins the celebration as the family and villagers dance together, keeping the magic alive. And that's the end of this movie. The farm was saved, the town was filled with laughter, and a simple harvest became something far more magical than anyone expected. In the end, it was never just about tomatoes or business, but about family finding its way back to each other. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next recap. Stay safe, and remember, magic doesn't truly disappear. It waits, quietly, inside kindness, memories, and the courage to start again.